Hey y'all, I'm Jessica Tanner. I'm a mom and musical theater performer, and thank you for joining me for my first coffee chat. So sit down, grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab something to drink, let's chat. So I just wanted to talk today about something that I feel like a lot of people ask me about all the time. Why did you decide to have a baby so early in your performing career? And it's interesting because depending on what circle you're in, like when I am around friends that have a more traditional post-grad career, they started their family in their early 20s. I sometimes feel like an older mom in those groups of friends. My baby is so young compared to theirs, or they already have 3. But when I'm around performers or I'm on a contract, I am often the only mom, especially when it's younger performers. I'm the only mom, or I'm considered a very young mom. I get questions like, oh, how did that happen? Honey, you know how that happened. And I think people are asking if it was on purpose, if I meant to get pregnant, which is also hard because getting pregnant for a lot of people is very complicated, as it was for me. But me deciding to start my family early in my career was not really like one thing just made the decision for me. It was kind of a culmination of a lot of things, like where I thought my career was going, the pandemic, re-exploring what it means for me to be successful and what all my dreams were. And those all kind of came together, and I decided that I wanted to start my family at this time. If you want to know more about this, or if you're just nosy, keep watching. So the first thing I want to talk about, I want to go back to feeling like before I decided I wanted to do theater, I thought early 20s to start your family was pretty normal. And then I quickly realized that really depends on what circles you're in. I went to college to get my BFA in musical theater, graduated in 2019. And really, as soon as I got accepted into musical theater school, the messaging was kind of clear that if you were going to do musical theater, you can't do anything else. This is kind of it. In order to do this life, a lot of times big shows and contracts you would get were during summers or during holidays. And so that meant you were gonna miss out on holidays with your family. You're gonna miss your cousin's wedding. You're gonna miss your brother's graduation, things like that. And it wasn't really until later that I realized that I was taking that so seriously to the point that I was missing out on creating my own family that I had always dreamed of. And that really didn't hit until I moved to New York City to go audition full-time and be an actor. And I was so stuck in that this is what I want to do and this is what I have to do. I wasn't dating, I wasn't hanging out with people. I was working so that I could afford my rent and go to auditions. I was being the perfect little post-grad BFA student. And I moved to New York City at the end of 2019. I just got there and got settled in, and then 2020 happens, right? The pandemic shuts everything down. I'm sent back home. I'm having to pack up my first New York apartment, and I'm thinking, what in the world? I poured everything into this career that didn't really give anything in return. New York was kind of brutal, and I think that that's pretty normal. It's a hard career path, but it really made me realize the things that I was choosing to miss out on by being so stuck in this is how you be an actor mindset. Is that a coffee chat? Haven't had any coffee. Nice. And it didn't happen super linearly. During the pandemic, I decided I was going to start dating again. Kind of lightly saw a few people, but really ended up reconnecting with my now husband. So me and my husband are both actors. We both met in college getting a BFA in musical theater. So we both understood that life. And we're both going through the pandemic together, trying to unravel what post-COVID theater industry world was going to look like. We both knew that we wanted to be married and have kids, and didn't really want the career to get in our way because it could shut down at any point, right? We kind of came to the conclusion, like, I mean, if this could go away at any moment, why am I gonna stop everything else in my life because I've only revolved my life around doing musical theater. So we spent a lot of COVID planning a wedding more than we were auditioning, and let being excited about our relationship take on more of our identity than being an actor. I think as actors, we're asked to portray these really complex characters that live these crazy lives, and then we tell actors, if you want to be successful, you cannot do anything else but theater. Why can't I go have a complex life? I should have a complex life too if I want to portray these characters. Let's plan a wedding and get married. All the while we were still auditioning. We were super involved in a community theater near us. We even ended up doing a professional TYA show together. So during this Theater for Young Audiences show that we were in together, I was playing the role of the mom, which was funny because as soon as I found out I got the part, I also found out that I was pregnant. Who's driving by so loud? Which finding out I was pregnant was not a super surprise. We had planned to start our family. Another thing that I was told in college was, for me, I often played more matronly roles. I have a deeper voice and a fuller figure. So I had a lot of teachers tell me that I was probably not going to work until I was in my 40s. What? So sitting through a pandemic, feeling like, oh my gosh, is the theater industry ever going to come back? Thinking, oh, I have to get all these jobs under my belt so that I can really hit my stride in my 40s. And then wondering, well, how in the world am I going to fit in family if I want to have a family? Am I going to start in my 40s? What if I can't get pregnant in my 40s? What if I get pregnant in my 40s and my parents are too old? My husband's parents are too old. Who's going to help us take care of babies when my knees ain't working as well? Listen, these are all things you can get over. But this is something I thought about, right? The industry's not going to come back. And if I'm not really going to hit my stride in this career until I'm 40 anyway, then let's go ahead and start my family now so that at least I'll have an older school-aged kid by the time my career comes around. Whatever, you can't plan for this, right? There's really no way to plan this. So me and my husband were both in this Theater for Young Audiences, a TYA show that we were doing at a performing arts center. I was maybe like 6 weeks pregnant, but feeling miserable during the run of the show. It was really sweet to me to be playing a mom and know that I was pregnant. But a little thing that I did not plan for was that even though I was young and healthy, my husband's young and healthy, I still had a miscarriage. My first pregnancy ended in miscarriage. I didn't really know or understand that that was a possibility for me. It wasn't in the plan, and I remember just feeling like I was trying to bargain, right? If I can be a mom or a performer, if my career is not going to take off in the way that I want it to, then maybe I can at least achieve my dream of becoming a mom. And I remember just sitting in that grief, feeling like I'm not meant to be a performer or a mom. Maybe I don't get to be either. And that was really dark and sad. I learned a lot through that. I feel like that was an experience that taught me a lot. And really, I'm so lucky that we tried again 3 months later and we have our beautiful rainbow baby, Harper. And the crazy thing about that is that when I focused all my energy from, okay, I'm becoming a wife and I'm going to become a mom, the desire to do theater and perform never went away. And I kind of always hoped that maybe it would, that there had to be one dream, that I'm either going to be a mom or a performer. And really, both of those things have always been a part of me. So I get pregnant for the second time, and me and Braden end up submitting for a cruise ship and just, seeing what would happen. And of course, we get a call back and then an offer, and we're starting to schedule getting on this cruise, right? So I had to reveal that I was actually pregnant. In this point in the process, it's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna have to do all this physical stuff before getting on a cruise ship, you're gonna have to know that I'm pregnant. And we were ghosted. Never heard from that again. And that was really hard, feeling like, do I not get to have both at the same time? One has to wait on the other, just feeling like the timing is just not working out, right? And then me and Braden end up booking a show together again, and I end up doing this show from 15 weeks to 20 weeks pregnant. Like, my costumes were growing with me because I really popped at like 19 weeks. I was showing, and I was in like the sequin dance number thing. I was having to do this sexy dance with a belly out, and that was so empowering. And honestly, that experience really helped me be able to visualize a life of figuring it out. Because I also had an amazing female production team that were super helpful with me, a female costume designer that was willing to work with my body, totally listen to my needs, and choreographer and director that wanted to make sure that I was staying safe and checking on me. And it's funny, that's the last professional show I did, not for lack of trying. I think another hard thing about when people see me as a performer, and I talk about being a performer, like, okay, well, when are you gonna get back into it? Well, I've still been auditioning. I went to my first EPA postpartum. I was pumping in the car on the way to the EPA, pumping, doing self-tapes. I haven't stopped. I never left. And even that perception has made me have to redefine what it means to make it or be successful. People that don't get it just won't get it. So don't beg people that don't get it to get it. You can be a performer and a mom at the same time. I sometimes feel like I'm not included in that because I decided to do it so young or early in my career. And I don't live in New York City anymore. And I think that that is a part of the boundaries of this is how I'm making it work. I don't have family in New York. My husband doesn't have family in New York. New York is expensive and you're constantly auditioning for things that send you out of the state. So finding this theater community for us in Houston where I can afford to live here, my family lives nearby, a village helping us raise a baby while we're trying to do that, starting our career with people who know that, listen, I live here, I have my family here, and that has helped define what success is for me right now. And that can change. Interesting thing about theater is that it's always changing, and so is parenthood. We often keep it on this linear path. Well, then I get this size role, then I go to this theater and I grow up and I grow this way. And if I have a baby, it's gonna halt all that. But your baby's gonna grow. Me pumping at 3 months postpartum, like, I'm not breastfeeding anymore. She's almost 2. So that already has changed what the balance is for me. I just wanna encourage you that if this is something that you dream about, if you wanna have a family, if you wanna have a career that's different than just theater, if you want to do other things, you just have to find that balance. And there's not always a blueprint for it, and people aren't gonna understand it. Why are we trying to explain ourselves to people that just don't get it? I hope this encouraged you, and just know you can do it all, maybe not all at once, and you can do it on your own terms. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you that you're enough or you're doing it the right way or giving you the rule book. You're writing the rule book, baby. No one else is. This is your life and you get to do it exactly how you want in the timeline that feels sustainable and good for you. So anyway, thanks for having a coffee chat with me, and I hope we can do this again sometime. Yeah, I gotta go.